So I am curious, as a busy person, when you think about yourself and Anthony, could you give an example of what a typical day looks like for you and him?
So I normally he gets up and goes for work quite early in the morning.
Yeah.
So he'll get up. He'll be gone all day and all night. It just
Hmm.
depends on what kind of work he has on. But I typically get up and going and start at like 8 or 9.
Hmm.
Sort my kids out in the morning, and then I'll work all the way up, and I'll have clients nonstop back to back until like 6 p.m. sometimes. It's or or sometimes we do sit down all together and have a meal
Hmm.
together.
It's just busy.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
gets busy, and so yeah, it's just a busy day for us. We'll just be up and going. Like he'll be gone sometimes at like 7, 8 a.m. and then he won't finish all his stuff until maybe like 10 p.m. sometimes later.
Wow. Welcome to the Protecting Your Nest podcast. Imagine you've started the new year and you or your partner are motivated to make lifestyle changes. Will both partners be motivated at the same time? Will both partners be motivated in the same way? Will the opposite partner have faith in the effectiveness of the approach that's being suggested? What if that approach seems to contradict conventional thinking? As we start the new year, I thought it would be helpful to share my perspective as someone who has encouraged my partner, Karan, to make dietary changes, with someone who has been encouraged by their partner, in this case, Dr. Anthony Chaffee, to make changes as well. And that guest will be Elle Marie, who will be today's guest. Elle is a self made independent businesswoman and owner of the high end line of hair extensions and other beauty products, Pure Ella Hair. And thanks to her partner, is now also a carnivore. I really appreciate her being here as she's trying to spread this message of healing as well as she does her thing in her business, as well as having a YouTube channel and a podcast called God, What Am I Doing? Which is a really nice title. So, Elle, I really appreciate you taking some time to spend some time with me and my audience on the Protecting Your Nest podcast. Welcome to the podcast, Elle.
Yeah, hello, and thank you so much for having me on. It's going to be really nice to be able to talk to you.
Yeah, absolutely. I know we met for the first time at the Reverse Carnivore filming.
Yeah.
And I even remember taking a picture with you and Anthony, which was kind
Yeah.
of cool that you shared. So
Yeah.
it was just really nice to kind of get to know. I hadn't really had a chance to get to know fellow meat eaters,
Mhm.
carnivores in one location. So even though it was one day for me there, I really enjoyed it and really have really established relationships since then, whether it's from Dr. Kiltz or Bella, different people who
Yeah,
were
definitely.
involved. So it was really cool, really sweet people who really are on a mission to help heal people. So thanks for being part of that community.
Yeah,
And
no
let's
problem.
let's start our conversation. Um, you are in Australia. I kind of hear. I think that's an accent I hear,
Yeah,
and
Perth, Australia. Yeah.
that's right. So, talk a little bit about. I know you guys get a chance to travel a lot. So, talk a little bit about what distinguishes Australia from other places you've seen in the world, and what do you like so much about that country?
Yeah, so I first of all I love Australia for the weather. That hands down it beats everything else for me. Um, but I don't know. It's. I wouldn't say that I like Australia more than other places. I find that other places are really unique in their own way.
Hmm.
I absolutely love seeing the snow. I saw snow for the first time last year, I think it was, and it was absolutely beautiful. It was just
Hmm.
so picturesque. It was just like something out of a fairy tale. So that was really nice. That's something that we don't have in Australia. Um, but I guess the beaches for me here in Australia are really pretty.
Hmm.
Yeah, very very beautiful beaches. I mean, there's really nice beaches in where did we go? Where was it that we recently went to? Pacific Beach.
Hmm.
That was really pretty. That was quite similar, although there it was quite cloudy on their beach, which was really interesting to have
That is
such an
interesting.
overcast beach. Normally it's quite sunny.
Yeah, that's
Um,
right.
but yeah, I think it's just the weather, and I think you always more comfortable in the place where that you've grown up.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I
Yeah.
since I grew up in Chicago, I have seen snow many days. And in fact, when I was younger, I remember the snowstorms got so crazy that there were times when, of course, they would close the businesses and the schools, and you'd look outside and see cars covered. I mean, could you
It's
imagine
crazy.
that much snow that you
I
have to
haven't I
cover?
haven't experienced that much snow before,
Yeah,
but yeah, that would, I don't know, for me, like I feel like that would suck because, I feel like you're so confined to like your home and you can't leave to go anywhere. It's almost like being in the COVID situation again, just stuck in one space. I like
yeah.
I like my freedom. I like to be able to go out and things like that. So yeah, it's interesting how people are so, I don't know, they're so used to having that every
Hmm.
year. And
Yeah,
they're
it
okay with
is.
that, and they're okay living in that.
Yeah, I did have a previous guest on the podcast, Violet of the Road to Health YouTube
Yeah.
channel, but she's in Canada, and the thing she said to me is that you have to embrace where you are. So, she'll enjoy outdoor sports and things like that that involves a code.
Mhm.
And I have not. I don't think me and my wife have done that yet. My wife's from the South
Yeah.
in the United States, from Mississippi, so we like warm weather. So that's kind of what we're trying to do now. So instead of just taking our walks, for example, in the warm weather, we will just bundle up and try to take walks in the cool weather. Maybe
Yeah.
not as long, but I
Yeah.
think you just have to embrace it, and that's the only way to do it if you're going to stay in a cold place. But yeah, it is a beautiful sight to see that snow. So I have to
So pretty, just
just
the
yeah.
white on the trees,
Oh
everything just
yeah.
looks so clean. I'm a white person.
Yeah,
Most of my
that's
house is
right.
white, and so, like,
That's right.
seeing that and seeing how beautiful and clean the white snow looked was just so pretty.
It's a sight, and that's how it looks outside my window. Even though it's early
Nice.
for me right now, and it's not quite even in the dark, you can see it because it's so
Yeah.
white, right? So I,
Yeah.
I I hear you, and I understand how that feels. So let's touch a little bit on this idea of who you are. I know you have another passion, which is not carnivore. So talk a little bit about your day job and how that became your passion.
Yeah, so I was 15 when I left school, and my mum was in the health and beauty industry, so she put me into hairdressing, and I did my hairdressing apprenticeship. So I was really thankful that she was able to put me into something, and I wasn't just doing nothing straight from school. So I did my hairdressing apprenticeship, and then I had kids, and then I wanted to work from home with them. So yeah, I started my business and got into hair extensions through that, and it just sort of, yeah, I I absolutely love sewing, and so my main job is like sewing in weaves, and I've been sewing ever since I was a really young girl. So that's something that I'm really passionate about. It's something that I absolutely love. It felt like a hobby to me, and I just absolutely loved it. So I built on that, and then it grew just on it by itself. It grew really big, and now I'm one of the leading suppliers for hair extensions mainly and other hair products in my city. Um, so yeah, that's my day job, and I absolutely love it. It doesn't feel like a job to me at all.
Nice. Not a lot of people can say that. So
Yeah.
I really, and that's why even before we started, um, I mentioned like um, you really want to make decisions about your future that align with that, your purpose and what feels good when you have a choice. Like, and that's why I was so happy when my kids got an education so that they can at least have some choices. But more importantly, whenever you think about what you do, is there a way to even tweak a current job in a way that aligns with that purpose? So I just think not feeling like it's work is a beautiful thing to hear.
Hmm.
Um, I
I think
know,
you
and
can. Yeah, I was just gonna
you
say,
know
I
what I
think
mean?
you can. I think you can work really good at it if you don't see it as a tedious job. If
Yeah.
it's something that you absolutely love and want to put everything into because you love it so much, it ends up being quite successful because you've got that passion for it,
Yeah.
and you're not waking up in the morning going, oh, I have to do this or anything like that.
That's right. Let me ask you a question. In my community, a lot of African American women's, they definitely use they add hair to their
Mm-hmm.
hair. They use extensions and things like that. Is there an African American population where you are? And do you find that to be, in other words, who's using hair extensions? Because I know you go throughout the world, but and where you are, do people use extensions a lot there?
Yes, there's definitely that community here as well, and I have clients that
Hmm.
are African American, and I sew in the weaves into their hair, and
Hmm.
yeah, I think it's suitable for anyone really. There's so
Yeah,
many different hair types that you can get. There's different textures. There's different things that will suit that hair type. So it works out. It ends up working out well.
that's cool. Now, another question, even in that community, I'm just thinking about the young ladies I grew up with. I would hear so often that I'm going to open up a beauty shop. I'm going to,
Mm.
start my own business, but rarely did that actually happen. So, what advice, if you met a young lady who was interested in your field,
Hmm.
interested to do this work, but they want to become an independent business person like you, what advice would you give so that they would stay motivated? Because I want to see more people doing that as opposed to just being an employee.
Yeah, well, I think being inspired by other people is a big thing. Looking at other people and their success and going, that would be awesome. Like, I really want to do that. But then also having the mentality of, I'm going to make this happen, and
Hmm.
failing at it is not an option. And
Hmm.
that's the mindset that I've always had. I've always wanted things to grow and grow really big. And yeah, it not working out was just never an option for me at all. So
I
if you
love.
want to start something, you've just got to be persistent with it, and you've got to prioritize things the right way. So, a lot of people, they waste their time just scrolling through social media or
Hmm.
TikTok, stuff like that, watching movies and not really prioritizing work or their passion for something over that. So like I speak to a lot of my clients as I'm doing the hair, and they'll say to me, have you seen this movie? Have you seen this on
Hmm.
Netflix? And I'm like, I never watch TV.
Right.
Every spare bit of time that I have goes into my business. I'm designing labels for something, I'm bringing out a new product, and I'm researching, I'm doing all of that because I want to grow. I just want to keep getting bigger and bigger and having a wider range of things, and being persistent is definitely key. So just
Yeah.
having that really good mindset of making, I'm going to make this work, it not working out is not an option. And yeah, just having that sort of mindset.
Yeah, just hearing you express that is inspiring.
Yeah.
Um, and it does make sense. Like, if you want to achieve a goal, find yourself a mentor, find somebody who has achieved that goal. My mom was never a doctor, so she can be a loving mom, but she can't show me how to be a doctor. So find somebody that can. And this idea that failing is not an option, I love that. And I kind of felt that way when trying to become a doctor. When things got tough, I said, I can't not become a doctor. So
Yeah.
whatever I do is going to be the opposite of not becoming a doctor, right?
Yeah.
And then I tell my kids all the time, it's okay to watch the creativity and creations of others, but how about you be the one that's creating something for others? So it's okay to take a break, watch Netflix. We'll probably do some of that today, later, me and my wife. But man, I agree with you. I sometimes I can't even sleep because I'm waking up thinking, what do I need to do?
Mm.
Um, and it's just you're so driven, and so I love that advice. So hopefully, some young person somewhere, and even somebody that's older who's thinking about making change, will hear that advice. So let's dive a little bit into this carnivore question. We all have benefited from low carb, keto, or carnivore, and it's made an impact on me, my family. It's the only thing that's allowed my wife to have as a type 1 person. She has type 1 diabetes. That was the only way she could get like a normal blood sugar. And she's more
Oh, wow.
ketovore. But for you, um, what benefits have you seen since you've been on this dietary pattern?
The main one that stands out the most for me was that I used to suffer from restless leg syndrome every single night. It was so bad. It would
Mm,
drive me absolutely crazy. And so I wasn't even full carnivore when that healed. It was just incorporating more meat into my diet, a lot more meat. That went away straight away.
mm,
So I had that. I also had psoriasis really badly on my
mm-hmm,
scalp, which was just so itchy. And it just used to leave dandruff all throughout my hair. It was just really unpleasant. So that healed for me. Um, what else did I have? I had bad skin, that all
mm-hmm,
healed. And just my lack of energy.
mm-hmm,
My lack of energy was a big deal, especially for my work. I'm on my feet all the time, and there'd be moments where I'm like, oh my gosh, like I feel so weak, and I feel like I'm going to pass out, or I feel
mm-hmm,
like I just need to sit down for a little bit. And that wasn't good because, sometimes it would randomly happen in the middle of doing someone's hair. And so I'd have to sit down for a little bit, and I'm just like, what is wrong with me? But I've never had that. I haven't had that in
mm-hmm,
ever since I've met Anthony and started doing carnivore. Never had that. Never restless legs never came back. And actually, one that really was quite interesting for me was chilblains. I don't know if you've heard of chilblains before.
mm-mm,
They're like itchy little itchy bumps that you would get on your toes. Like some people get them
mm-hmm,
on their fingers, their nose, ears. I used to just get them on my toes, and I'd get them every single winter. And
mm,
so I my mum told me that it was from going from hot and cold, and the transition going between the two so quickly would then cause an inflammation on my toes.
mm-hmm,
But the strange thing is that being carnivore, I've never had chilblains. Even like going into snow for the first time last year, I was stressing because I'm like, okay, I haven't had chilblains. I'm going to get chilblains so badly while I'm in the snow. They
mm-hmm,
not even there. Didn't even have an issue with it there. So I feel like that was healed because of going carnivore as well. And
mm,
I I'm yeah, I'm 100% sure that it's from eating more meat
yeah.
for
I
sure.
can believe it. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think a lot of these conditions are inflammatory, restless leg, inflammatory, whether it's how it affects your nerves,
Yep.
etc. Psoriasis, inflammatory, skin problems, inflammatory. And
Yeah.
then obviously you have this energy, mental clarity benefit.
Yeah.
Um, all of it is wonderful. I had literally, I think the second episode of the Protecting Your Nest podcast with a gentleman, Royzell Johnson. His his brother, Rashard Johnson, was the president of two hospitals on the south side of Chicago, Trinity and South Sub. He's now in the South region, and he kind of is the president over multiple hospitals. So shout out to both of them. But he introduced me to his brother, and he just happened to be a barber, and so he came. He met me in Chicago. We did our thing, and he lost weight and did really well. Now, what's amazing about his journey is that he also, you say you have to stand a lot, right? Well, he couldn't stand, so he was on the stool when he would see clients. And shortly after making this transformation, he said he don't even know where the stool is at. Like he's just, it's not just being able to stand, but just having that energy and
Mm.
and being engaged and when you're because sometimes the person doing your hair is like the therapist, right?
Mhm.
you,
Oh,
you know
yeah.
you have them, they're there, they can't go anywhere, and you have time to talk and interact. So I think he's probably better at those things also, mental clarity and just having a desire and energy. So there's so many people think we're nuts because so many things get fixed, many of which you didn't try to fix. It just came with the package. So So I'm really happy you benefited from all of those things you've mentioned, because I know for me, it's been a wonderful journey. So let's talk a little bit about your family, your friends, and when you benefit so much from this dietary pattern, when you're eating more meat, it may turn you into a pastor. You may start evangelizing. You may start wanting to share it with the world. So for you, um, did you find yourself doing that to your friends and family? And are there examples of people who made changes, rather on your side of the family or Anthony's, that have really benefited from eating more animal based?
It it's really hard because you don't want to come across as being too pushy with something, right?
That's
So
right.
I definitely talk to my friends and family about the benefits that I've experienced. You know, my mom has a really bad rash. It kind of looks like I don't know what it is, but anyway, it's spreading like onto her back, on her hands,
Yeah,
and I've
probably
been
like an
trying to get her.
eczema type of thing. Yeah, maybe,
Yeah,
yeah.
might be. And I've told her you need to try this just for a little bit, just
Hmm.
to see if you can see any improvements. But she's so stubborn, and
Hmm.
you don't want to be too pushy with it. I've got some other
Definitely.
friends that have Alice Danlos, I think it's
Yeah,
called.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
and I'm like, you guys need to watch Anthony's podcasts and listen to them and see all the benefits that you can get out of this because they're quite unwell.
Hmm.
So I've definitely tried to explain that, but it's actually really cool because when we go out to eat somewhere, I'll order a meat dish, and
Hmm.
they just copy. Like a lot of the time, they just copy and get whatever I get. So that's really cool. Um, but otherwise, I have a friend. She's tried adding a lot more meat into her diet. She suffers from eczema on her neck,
Hmm.
and she does get a bit on her face as well. So she's noticed a difference, but I think her addiction to carbs and other things are just too severe that she just
Hmm.
keeps going back and forth with that, unfortunately. Um, I know Anthony has a lot of friends and family. Like his brother recently has just gone carnivore and he's lost so much weight. He looks absolutely fantastic. He's seen quite a lot of benefits from that.
Cool.
Um, Most of his family are carnivore,
Oh,
so
okay.
yeah, that's pretty cool. They eat a lot of meat, and um, yeah, my kids, my son in particular, he's carnivore now. He loves meat.
Nice.
It's so cool. But he lost a lot of weight, and Anthony's been taking him to the gym, and he's been trying to build up
That's
muscle, and he's
good.
he's seeing improvements quite quickly. So he's
Yeah.
pretty happy about that.
Yeah, when you're at that age, it can be pretty dramatic. And I does he play sports?
Not at the moment. He used to,
Oh,
but
okay.
at the moment he's
Well,
not. But
they're gonna
he's
be.
grown. He's shot up. Like as soon as
Oh.
he started eating meat, that his
Hmm.
height, he was
That's
like
right.
he was like at my chin,
Yeah,
just like a year or so ago, and then now he's like above me.
that's
It's
right. That's right.
crazy.
Yeah, they're gonna be he's gonna have to start dodging the coaches. They're gonna see him and say, "Hey, come over here, young man," so we can see
Yeah,
if he's gonna be a good fit. So I love that. And again, you're giving the body the essential things that it needs to be successful. So we're not surprised at all that the success is there. So
yeah,
I love that.
yeah.
And speaking of Anthony, maybe briefly you can share with my audience how you met him, and beyond this whole meat thing. What was your first impression? Because I'm sure the meat part was an interesting impression. But what
Yeah,
else
it's
did?
so
What was your first
interesting.
impressions? Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So yeah, we met out, and then I to be honest, he laughs when I say this, but I didn't I wasn't into him in the beginning. So
Yeah.
it was really interesting because I think like he did talk about diet a lot, and he was on call that night that we when we
Hmm.
first met. So he um he was on the phone a lot, and I was like, oh my gosh, this guy, like he kept me waiting hours as well. And yeah, so I ended up being so disinterested, and then I was like,
Hmm.
oh, I'll just give it a shot, see how I go, because I was I was out of a relationship. I hadn't dated or been with anyone else before, so
Hmm.
it was really, I was quite patient with everything
Hmm.
and wanted to persist and see how things went. And I thought he was crazy in the beginning when he started talking about meat. And I was like, what is this guy? And I don't know why, but I associated carnivore with cannibalism.
Oh, wow.
And I was just
Yeah.
like, because,
Yeah.
the carnivore, movement was no one heard of it here.
Hmm.
No one heard of
Hmm.
it. And so carnivore and cannibal were the two things that went into my head. And I remember the first time like seeing his fridge and opening it up and being like seeing
That's,
just meat in there. I'm just like,
yeah.
oh my gosh. I remember sending it to my friend and I'm just like, look at this guy's fridge. Like, this is crazy. And she was like, get the hell out of there. He's going to cut you up and put you in his fridge. Like, what are you doing? This is a massive red flag. Get the hell out of
Right.
there.
Seriously.
And but yeah, it was really interesting, and we just spoke about it a little bit more, and the more he spoke about it, like I did my own research into it, and I was like, oh my gosh, I actually want to try this. Like, what? There's no harm in trying.
Right.
So yeah, I tried it, and I started seeing benefits so quickly, so quickly, and yeah, I just went along with it ever since
Yeah.
then, and he's grown on me, and I don't see him as being crazy or anything like that. But I remember also seeing like he sent me like this video of him drinking pig's blood, and
Wow. Yeah, yeah. Now we're
that
going back to the cannibal
that
thing
like
now.
yeah, right. So that like blew my mind. I was like, what am I doing with myself here? What am I getting myself into? But no, it was fine. It's yeah,
That is,
everything was good, and other than that, like yeah, my first impression, I guess that I got from him was that he just looked like a big dorky dad.
that's right. Yes.
But no,
I,
but really lovely. He was just so sweet, and I think that's why I
yeah.
wanted to continue on
Yeah.
seeing where it went, because he was just really really friendly, really sweet, very kind, and you could just sense that he had a really sweet heart. So yeah.
Yeah. When I do remember meeting him, and Sean Baker, I think it was at KetoCon. So they're big men, but like you said, the warmth
Yeah.
is hard to not notice. And me and when we I don't know if he ever told you the story, but when we were at I think probably this symposium for metabolic health, and we were all kind of speaking. We were kind of giving him a hard time, but he's so nice. We were saying stay away from our wives because he's a handsome guy, and we were kind of, Brian Linsky was kind of joking with him, but what was funny was that he's too nice, so you
Mm,
can't like not like Anthony. So
yeah.
I can understand how after you kind of get past the all this meat in the refrigerator and call the cops that moment, then you just get to know the person. And I agree. I don't know him like you do, but what I do know is that when I interact with him, I feel that warmth. Even the fact that before we started recording, he took the time to say hi
Yeah.
and to greet us.
Mhm.
That little things like that
Mhm.
matter. And I do appreciate that side of him. So I thought it would be fun to just contrast your experiences with mine. And as um, Anthony, uh, uh, for you was kind of the driving force behind you making some dietary changes. I was the driving force behind my wife, Karan, making dietary changes. And my wife's more, again, in a ketovore space.
Right.
But I'm curious because if you were to have a day of indulgence and
Mhm.
if Anthony were to have a day of indulgence, maybe it's based on what he previously ate. What do you think that food would be for you or him?
Honestly, the best thing for us, like I absolutely love just tomahawks on the barbecue with
Mm,
melted butter. Like that is just absolutely amazing. We have a place called a restaurant called the Epicurean here, and
Mm-hmm.
it's an all you can eat restaurant. It's got all the different roast meats you can think of. It's got seafood, like all you can eat seafood, everything like that.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
We love going there and then just like eating a whole bunch of seafoods and meats. That's really cool. But yeah, if we were at home, honestly, like if we just did it today, you know, we had a pool day and I just chucked the barbecue on and put some
Hmm.
tomahawks on there and
That's
melted
right.
butter, crispy tomahawks like that. To me, like even if I wasn't carnivore, is just delicious.
That's right.
So good.
See, so that's the opposite. So a lot of people listening would think, oh, she's going to give an example of some favorite cake you used to like, or but your indulgences are still meat.
Yeah.
They're still
Yeah.
animals, and that's really telling because um, a lot of people forget when we're suggesting low carb keto or carnivore that this stuff tastes delicious. They like people their brain. I know the dopamine responses and maybe the for some people is maybe greater if it's like a piece of cake maybe, but man, the food we eat is so delicious. So I think it's important that people hear that because if we live a life of lack and we only focus on what we can't have, we miss the things that we can have.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you guys have become really good at, making steak taste really good. You guys are really, yeah. So I
Yeah.
know he has a reputation. I've heard you speak about that.
Honestly, the way that he ages, I think it's like when someone else makes something for you, it tastes better than if you were to make it yourself. But when he prepares and makes a steak, it honestly tastes like chocolate mud cake. Like
Mm,
I don't know how to explain it, but the way
that's
that he
crazy.
makes it, and then
Hmm.
yeah, it's just so delicious.
Wow.
Yeah,
How can you compare steak to chocolate mud cake? I don't know, but
honestly,
that's definitely something on my to-do list if I ever visit you guys. But I'll probably just figure it out
yeah.
and take you guys' advice that way. And just so you know, for us, I know for my wife, um, she's a chicken fan, and like if she ate something that wasn't aligned with our vision, we don't want to eat chicken with flour on it, but she would probably slide into a Popeyes chicken restaurant in America,
Mm, mm. She
and
would love something called cracked chicken. We got
mm,
the recipe. Have you heard of it? We got the
uh-uh,
recipe from someone at one
no,
of the conferences that we went to.
okay,
But it's literally just chicken thigh. I think it's chicken thigh. You don't even need to
mm-hmm,
dice it up. You just put the thighs in there in big chunks with cream cheese. I don't know if she does dairy,
mm-hmm,
but
yeah,
cream cheese, and then you put it in the pressure cooker for like,
mm,
I can't remember how long Anthony puts it in there for, like I think like 45, 40 minutes
mm-hmm,
maybe, something like that.
okay,
Oh my gosh. And then it ends up being like this beautiful creamy chicken. My kids absolutely love it.
oh
It
wow,
is so delicious.
we need
You have
that.
to give it a try. So it's literally
Right.
just cream cheese, a little bit of water in the bottom of the pot, and chicken thigh. You can use
That's
chicken
it.
breast, anything, and it all just falls apart. It's incredible.
Okay. Okay, that's on the to-do list now because that sounds like something she would love.
Yeah.
My indulgence beyond carnivore specifically would be an Italian beef sandwich. I'm saying with the bread, if it's an indulgence and
Yeah.
dipped peppers, those are the things so I've always been a Italian beef and sausage guy, but back in the day I would eat it with the bread. Now, thankfully, the restaurants, you can buy these things if you're out without the bread, obviously. And so I still love the Italian beef and sausage. I just don't do it with the bread anymore. So that's kind of an indulgence for us. So thanks for that indulgence. And then another issue that you may or may not have in common with Quran is snacking. So talk a little bit about where you and Anthony are on the snacking spectrum. Is that something you guys still do, even if it's carnivore, or you're not really doing that at all?
Okay, so I go on and off with the snacking. Like
Hmm.
sometimes I just have moments where I'm just like, I just need something and I can't be bothered cooking something big. So I just want like a little snack. So I'll have like a bit of
Hmm.
pork crackle or something like that. Anthony, no snacking. He does not
Hmm.
snack. He just eats, his meat, his steak, and then he's good. He doesn't snack. But for me, yeah, I think it's I don't know what it is. I think that's just how I was previously, and maybe I've just got into a habit of that and haven't been able to break that
Hmm.
completely. But yeah, it will be just, pork crackle more than anything. Just pork
Hmm.
crackle, or I'll just have a little bit of cheese as a little snack. Um, but other than that, it's not very often. It will probably be like once every couple of months. I'll just get into like a little snacking moment.
Okay.
But yeah,
It's not really a big deal. Yeah,
no,
I'm
not a
kind
big
of,
deal.
I think I'm with you guys. I don't snack much at all, but obviously if I do snack, I try to make it carnivore friendly. We actually purchase, they have chicken skins also that you can buy. They taste just slightly um, nice because they're thinner. And so we definitely do chicken skins too, which is really fun.
Are they
My
already
wife,
fried? Are they already dried? Are
they're
they?
already, yeah, they're already. You can actually purchase them from a company, and they're already in like literally. Um, they're just made for you, and the company is called Flock, Flock. So a little pricier than regular pork skins, but if that's your thing, it really is tasty. So that's a nice snack. But there's so many, but that's what we kind of they have. Obviously you can get plain, and some people would do flavors. So they do have seasoning flavors, but all of it is essentially from a keto perspective. The seasoning doesn't really do much to harm that. So yeah, I think I think that's the harder thing for her. She likes to snack, so we're just trying to make our snacks friendly. And again, she's
Yeah.
more ketovore, so there's more wiggle room. And that's and I think it's important also for people who are checking this out. Keto and carnivore products can be expensive when you're going to a company. So I
Mm.
think it's important. I think you guys, I saw a video where you took some type of beef or something and it was partially frozen and it was thinly sliced and then
Yeah.
dried. That
So good. Yep, you can do
yeah,
that with pork. You can do that with any type of meat.
right,
And you just put it in the dehydrator, and
that's right,
they're just like little crispy little little snacky bite things that you can eat.
yeah,
She'd really like that. Super easy to make as well.
I
Instead of
think
using
so.
the hand slicer though, you can get like I saw Sean Baker using one that like sort of slid across instead of and it looked like it did things a lot quicker
Yeah,
than
yeah,
the hand
like more
held
of an
one.
industrial type
Yeah,
version.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
make it quick. Yeah, I think people who have metabolic diseases, diabetes, blood pressure, etc., man, you just can't go wrong eating this food because it will not spike your glucose and it won't spike your insulin. So you
yeah.
can pretty much eat it guiltlessly. Like, so
Mhm.
snacking becomes guiltless snacking.
Yeah.
And I just think people need to know that that's something that they can do. But another thing that comes to mind when I think about you guys, my wife jokes with me and I'm gonna say it out loud. It's so funny. She's like, he can't be a neurosurgical resident. It's impossible. So she doesn't think he's really a neurosurgical resident. She because he's so. How do you have time? So my question for you and him: you're busy with your business. He's doing his residency and he is doing a ton of YouTube work and some of the I usually tell people when I join, I say I got about an hour. I'll see him on a stream for 2 hours. It's like,
Yeah.
whoa. So, and I know he's passionate, but how do you both manage the time so that you have time for each other and the time you need to do your business and or add value to the world by teaching these healing messages? How do you guys balance that?
Mhm. Yeah, it is really difficult. Like, we don't have a lot of good quality time that we get to spend together because we are so busy with our work. But, I think that's a good thing about me working from home.
Hmm.
With most of my work, I can do that. And, with his podcast and things like that, he's here as well. So we'll
Yeah.
just see each other in between, like,
Yeah.
interviews, podcasts that he does. And then we obviously go to bed together as well. And I like to make a point of going to bed at the same time. So I'll wait up for
Mm.
him or whatever. Um, but I think that's why I go to a lot of the conferences and stuff like that as well,
Hmm.
because I want to be able to spend that good quality time with him and, support his work and things like that. And I can get, a good amount of quality time, I guess, on the plane with him and when we're traveling,
Right.
which is really nice. But other than that, he's absolutely fantastic with, wanting to make time to
Hmm.
have good quality time together. So he'll say, "Hey, let's put phones away now. Let's not
Hmm.
do work just for an hour or whatever, and spend time together," which is really nice. Um, but otherwise, I want him to do well with his work, and I want him, to be successful. So it doesn't
Hmm.
bother me if he works a lot.
Hmm.
It doesn't bother me if he works a lot because I can also do my work. So I don't know, it kind of just works out. Um, but I think if he didn't if he didn't put the effort in prioritizing,
Hmm.
time for us, I think I just get stuck into like a work mode, and I don't stop. But
Right. Yeah. So
otherwise,
actually, you balance each other. It sounds like
yeah,
because you're
exactly.
driven, and some people just have that inside of them. So I think that's a nice balance because if you're both driven, you both have things to do either
Yeah,
way. But
yeah,
being intentional is what I'm hearing from you. Being intentional, prioritizing the relationship, and that's kind of what we're trying to do. We literally, the night before this recording, sat down and had a calendar, and we were kind of walking through the calendar and trying to figure out which conference to go to, and to speak at, which one not to go to. So we're trying to put that together. If I, which nights are better for me to be on a live stream, is better if she's working, or, she'll be coming home halfway through it. And so I think that is important, but really what's important is to be collaborative. And when you're in that's why I have a nest and rope acronym, the R for relationships, is to be in a relationship where you have a partnership that is collaborative, where it's not about me or you, it's about us. And we're trying to figure out, we're going to figure out what the goals are. And obviously I need to be successful, my partner needs to be successful, and how do we work collaboratively to make sure our relationship is okay, and we're also doing the things that add value to the world. So it's hard when you're busy.
yeah.
Successful people are busy. There's no way
Hmm.
around that. If
Yeah,
you're hearing this episode and you're wanting to be successful and you think it's going to be easy, no such thing.
yeah,
People say silly things like, "Oh, this is income that'll just come in." I'm gonna get into real estate because, oh, that's just passive income. They use the word passive. There is no now. If you buy a stock and you just get a statement, that's passive.
yeah,
If it's an index fund, real estate's not passive. If you have tenants, it's not passive. If you're doing a rehab, it's not passive. So I think it's important that people understand that if you're going to be successful, there's a sacrifice, but it's so worth it. You just
yeah.
have to decide what you're willing to sacrifice to be successful. And I think young people need to hear that, and anybody that's looking at others and trying to figure out why they're successful, they need to hear it as well. So
Yeah, I think a lot
thanks.
of people, I think that a lot of the time they'll, get into the mentality of, quick, easy money. It should be quick, it should be
Right.
easy, and it should just come in. But it takes time, and you've got to put that time into it. It's slow in the beginning. You've just got
That's
to
right.
persist with
Yeah,
it and not give up, because a lot of people will, give it a couple of months and go, "Oh, this isn't working out. This isn't going how I want it to go," and then they give up. And they don't allow, you know, the time for it to grow and see the and
that's
reap the
right.
benefits from it. So definitely being persistent with it is key.
Yeah, I agree. And I even as I'm trying to grow my audience, and then I'll look at other videos and say, oh, they're doing things that I could probably do differently or better. And so you learn, you grow, you
Yes.
experiment. And I think that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
And I completely agree with that. So I am curious, as a busy person, when you think about yourself and Anthony, could you give an example of what a typical day looks like for you and him? Like, what's a typical day of busy looking like?
Typical day busy. So I normally he gets up and goes for work quite early in the morning.
Yeah.
So he'll get up. Sometimes he'll be gone all day and all night. It just
Hmm.
depends on what kind of work he has on, and if he's got like late surgeries and stuff like that.
Hmm.
But I typically get up and going and start at like 8 or 9.
Hmm.
Sort my kids out in the morning, and then I'll work all the way up, and I'll have clients nonstop back to back until like 6 p.m. sometimes, and then you have got all my after booking, like all my clients that I need to get back to after I finish that. So we kind of don't really stop until really late at night. Like sometimes
Yeah.
we don't go to bed until like midnight, sometimes even after that, especially if he's got interviews, because he'll come home from work sometimes around 7, sometimes later, 7 p.m., 8 p.m., and then he'll go straight into a consultation, or he'll go
Hmm.
straight into an interview with someone. Um, so like I try and have like something ready for him to eat when he comes home from work, and he can just quickly eat it and then go into his interview. It's or or sometimes we do sit down all together and have a meal together,
Hmm.
but it's things get busy, you
It's
know.
just busy.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
gets busy, and so yeah, it's just a busy day for us. We'll just be up and going. Like he'll be gone sometimes at like 7, 8 a.m., and then he won't finish all his stuff until maybe like 10 p.m., sometimes later.
Wow.
So
Yeah, that's
it's
great.
late. It is what it
That's
is.
that's
But
what I expected. Again, neurosurgery. If it's not the most challenging specialty, it should be in the top one or two or three. So I do understand how busy that is. Not just the time only, but the mental capital that you have to expend, the energy just thinking through how do I plan for this particular surgery and do a good job. So amazing. So that sounds like so did that mean I know when you guys kind of first kind of got together, he was sorry, was preparing a lot of the meals. Are you now doing most of the meal prep because of that, or is there? Because I know it's easier when it's carnivore, but who's doing most of the meal prep these days?
it's kind of pretty. I mean, I like to say that it's probably a bit mixed.
Hmm.
Half of it's me, half of it's him. He does the cutting up the steaks, and for me, because it's quite hard for me to put the knife through the big slabs of meat if
Right.
we were to just put them in the fridge and cure them for a little bit. But yeah, so he does all the cutting up for the drying steaks, and then I normally cook them up. It's so easy. I mean, you can put it on the barbecue, you can fry it up in a pan, or you just chuck it in the air fryer. So it's just
Hmm.
so quick and easy. And he'll do that, or I'll do that. It's kind of a bit mixed.
Hmm.
My son has started to cook like a lot of his stuff.
Hmm.
He's really into like the pork rinds, and so he'll like coat chicken, or he'll do something with pork rinds, and then he'll chuck it in the air fryer, or he'll fry it up some other way in lard. But yeah, I think it's a bit mixed. I wouldn't say one does more than the other. Yeah.
That's fair. The balance is there, which
Yes.
is good. And again, when you're eating this way, it's easier, and you can kind of plan more long term
Yeah.
as well. Eating can be fun. I tend to be, I'm a jumper out of a plane. My wife would not jump. I'll jump. So I tend to be like, sounds like Anthony is in a way, but I remember going to New Orleans, and I think it was maybe it was New Orleans or here. I can't. We took our kids so many places, but it was a kind of I think they were crickets or the grass. It was grasshoppers. That's what it was. So
Grasshoppers.
yeah, so it was like, okay, eat the grasshopper, and everybody's looking at me like I'm nuts. So of course I'm the first to try. And I can't remember who else tried. Maybe one of my sons, but my wife probably was looking at me like I'm nuts. So when it comes to adventurous things. You mentioned drinking some blood earlier.
Mhm.
Any other thoughts on things that you or Anthony have tried that would be a little on the more extreme?
Um, yeah, like when we went to the Philippines, this is so gross. But when we went to the Philippines, they have something, I'm pretty sure it's called balut. I think that's what it's called, where it's
Mm.
like this little baby duck or something boiled in an egg, but it's like, it's got a beak, it's developed and everything. And they say that this, um, balut is going to help with your sex drive pretty much.
Oh, okay.
And and I'm just like, there's no way. I reckon that's just the way of them trying to sell it. So he's
Hmm.
like, I want
Yeah.
to try it. I want to just try it because it's something different. It's something new. And I was so disgusted. I could not believe he had it. And he put it in his mouth. And I remember the look on his face. He was like, I didn't know. Like it was just too big to swallow. He had to chew it. And then he instantly regretted it. I could just see it on his face. And it disgusted me. I couldn't believe it because I love birds. I love all kinds of like birds.
Yeah.
And so I was like, no, this developed a little, I think it was a duck. I think it was a duck or I
Yeah.
can't remember, in a little egg. And he had completely eaten it. It was just so disgusting. I think that was the most I think that
Okay.
was probably the grossest thing. I'm not very adventurous when it comes to stuff like that. I would not
Yeah.
try that. Um, I I mean, we ate snails in
Hmm.
France. That wasn't an issue for me. I
That's
love
right.
snails. Frogs legs, couldn't do that. I love frogs. So,
Ah, that's
but
funny. Yeah.
he's tried that. What else has he tried? Oh, he has like, I think he ate like sheep heart or something like that
Mm.
once.
Okay.
And I was like,
Okay.
no, I can't do that.
Not
I can't
doing it.
even do liver. Like the
That's
taste
funny.
for me, like
Just
I
can't do
just
it.
can't do it. But he eats raw liver.
Yeah, well,
So
he's special. I haven't done that. I like liver, but I'm not, I haven't done the raw, and maybe I'll try it one day. Maybe he'll convince me, but that is amazing. I looked it up, but like it's BALUT, and it's described as a fertilized developing egg
yes,
embryo that is
yeah,
boiled or steamed and eaten from the shell.
hmm,
So, and when you look at the image of it, it's definitely not appealing at
no,
all.
no, not
Looks
appealing.
like
And it, yeah.
it's no,
But
looks like basically
the strange thing as well is like it was all secretive. Like they were, I don't know if it's legal there. So they
mm,
had it all like hidden under blankets, and
oh
you had
wow,
to, so I don't think it's even legal to have
wow,
them there.
that's crazy. So
So
you,
yeah, it was really interesting. That was probably the most bizarre thing he's ever tried that I know of,
that's right.
and I
Well,
just
again,
couldn't do that.
he's a little bit more adventurous than me, and I'm a lot more adventurous than Karan, my wife. And I think you and my wife, Karan, are pretty aligned. Let me eat what I don't have to, hold my nose to swallow. And
Yes, yeah,
yeah, I understand that. But I'm definitely more like Anthony when it comes to that. So that's
yeah.
pretty cool.
He
So
would
thanks
do
for
well on like he would do well on one of those shows,
that's right.
Amazing Race, where you have to like
That's
try out
right.
and eat these different
That's
foods
right.
and
He'll
to
be like,
pass
come
this to the
on.
next level.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So
I
you'd be
can
good to
do it.
have
Come
him. You
on.
guys would be good to have on the team for that sort of
That's right.
thing.
Absolutely, man. We would kill it, man. It'd be like rugby all over again in a different way.
Yeah.
Just fire it up. So that's
Yeah.
excellent. I thought that was a fun question. And now another thing that is enjoyed in my family is alcohol. I have a ton of family members who just like alcohol, and I know um, there are spectrums with um, carnivore. We also know that low carb keto and carnivore will make the effects of alcohol more, more. Let's just say it that way. And because of that, if you are listening to this and adopting these dietary patterns, be careful. The alcohol may work a little stronger. So there's I'm more of a periodically I'll have a drink, not often. I tend to be the designated driver. My wife is probably totally okay with a Chardonnay at the end of the day on some days. So I'm just curious how you guys manage alcohol for you and Anthony. Is that something you guys do periodically, or what's your thoughts on that?
No alcohol for us. We don't
Yeah.
drink alcohol. And the funny thing is that, just having sparkling water, people just think that it's an alcoholic drink. They don't question it. They don't ask.
Right.
If they do, I'm just like, I'm just drinking sparkling water.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can't really see the difference, and when you're drinking it, so like it just looks like alcohol in a
Hmm.
glass.
Yeah.
But I don't like it because it makes me bloated.
Mm.
I don't like drinking alcohol because it makes me bloated. It makes me feel really crappy the next day. You have all those
Mm-hmm.
side effects of aching body parts and all that kind of stuff, brain
Yeah.
fog.
Mm-hmm.
That's just not appealing to me in the
Yeah.
slightest. So
That's right.
we just have sparkling water, and that's
Yeah.
just how it is now. I mean, it's not that hard for me because I grew up Mormon,
Mm.
so we didn't drink alcohol.
Right.
We didn't drink tea or coffee, no
Okay.
caffeine or anything like that. So that's normal to me. Like not having
Yeah. No big
alcohol, not
deal.
drinking tea and coffee, like that just comes naturally anyway.
That's
But
cool.
yeah, it's really nice having a partner that you can do that with as well. Because I guess
Mm-hmm.
in a previous relationship, I had a partner that used to drink alcohol and I didn't, and we are just on, it just didn't feel like we are on the same page with that,
That's
and
right. That's right.
kind of becomes a little disappointing. Um, but yeah, just it's so refreshing. It's so nice to have a partner that you just have sparkling water with,
Yeah.
and
Right.
you're on the
That's
same
right.
page. Like it's so good.
It's funny you mentioned sparkling water because when I first was exposed to sparkling water rather Perrier, another brand, I was like, that's gross. But what happened was I realized that when I was in college, where me and my wife met, there was this, you have the daiquiris in New Orleans because we went to a school called Xavier in New Orleans. And the daiquiris taste good and sweet, when you're at that point in life. But the beer, not so much. But I think beer is an acquired taste, right? So over time, if we're eating crawfish and beer, after a while, it just becomes the package, right? And and so when I started moving away from alcohol, having not been a great big drinker in the first place, I would then go to like a non-alcoholic drink like O'Doul's. Um, but and then I found that do I really need to do that? So I'm kind of where you are. In fact, my sons are my youngest in particular, Justin, loves sparkling water. And I think it's just because it feels similar to the beer, but you don't have to have the alcohol. And so when I made that transition, now I love it. It's still not like this strong flavor, but when you're not eating sugary things, there's enough flavor to make it fine if you're going to do that version. Now, there's versions that don't add any flavor, of course, but I'm gonna tell you, it's been a nice transition. And I think for people who do enjoy a Chardonnay at the end of the day, like my wife, I think that's okay too. I just think you have to find your spot, what makes the most sense for you. And
Yeah.
and there's no rules, it's just things to consider. And I don't think we should drink because we're kind of trying to fit in. I think we do these things because we feel that it adds value. And I think for me, I just get tired when I drink alcohol. And
Yeah.
if I'm being social at not 8 or 9 at night, what I don't want to do is spend that social time trying to fight sleep.
Mhm.
That's just not fun to me. So, and I
Yeah.
definitely don't want to wake up the next day because we're busy.
Mhm.
I'm recording this really early. So if I wake up, if I had had drinks last night, this wouldn't be fun. This would be a struggle, what we're doing right now. So I think
Yeah.
that all resonates with me. So appreciate that. And I do want to ask this really quick question about, you know, we know that low carb keto and carnivore gives us short term benefits. We don't have randomized controlled trials for carnivore yet, right? We're working on that. But so when you think about worry of potential negative effects, does that ever enter your brain? And I'm gonna tell you why I'm asking this. Um, um, I think about Sarah Hallberg, for example, who, just wonderful doctor, researcher, who has died from cancer. Not an old lady. And you think about people like that, and you're like, huh, you pause for a second. Now, we rational people know that we all will die of something one day, and there are carnivores that are going to die, and there are vegans that are going to die, right? So we don't want to get caught up in that. But you do have a pause moment, and you're like, man, she should be. She's doing this diet perfectly. She's more keto, I think, back then. And so my question is, do you ever have moments when you're like, this feels great now, my numbers look good, but is there any negative effects down the road? Does that come to your brain? Does that ever come to Anthony's brain?
Yeah, it does for me. I don't know if it would for Anthony, but for me, it definitely, it's crossed my mind. But one thing that I think about is, you can't be stuck on the what ifs, right? What
Hmm.
if something happens? What if something was bad was happening because I'm eating this way? If it hasn't happened yet, I'm then putting worry and doubt into my mind over something that hasn't happened. And I think it's the same with going on an airplane and going, oh, I could possibly die on
Hmm.
this flight, but it's just, you just never know what could happen to you at
Hmm.
any point of the day, at any point in your life. You could die from something like Steve Irwin, one of the guys in Australia, died from being having a stingray barb into his heart.
Mm.
That just unfortunate, but you just
Right.
don't know what you're going to die from. So worrying about something isn't going to help you live a long happy life, because you're worrying about something that hasn't even happened yet. But you do hear a lot of people saying, oh, you're going to get bowel cancer, or you're going to die from this
Right.
because
Right.
meat causes bowel cancer in some weird way. um, and you just have to go, well, you can die from anything.
That's
You
right.
can die from anything, but
You
while
can.
I'm living, I want to feel the best that I want to feel. And I don't want to push a way of eating onto anyone or make them feel like they're forced to eat that way. I feel like whatever works for people, we can set a good example for others and go, this
Hmm.
works for me. These are the the benefits that you can receive from this as well. If they want to try it, then they can try it. But like one of the talks that you did at one of the conferences, and you were saying, we should all sort of live in peace and harmony.
Right.
um I think whatever works for that person and what works to make you happy and
Hmm.
makes you, feel your best, do that. Try that. If it doesn't work, try something else. But worrying about, the bad things that could potentially happen from something, I don't know, like, I never worry about it. I
Yeah.
just think it's just unwanted stress, unwanted worry.
That's right.
Stress is probably going to kill you quicker than any other kind of food anyway.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I just think,
I agree.
yeah, I just
I
I
think
just
you're
don't worry
right.
about it.
Yeah. I think awareness of things that people say you should be concerned about. We
Yeah.
do that. We vet what our decisions are. But once we decide to go down that path, we go down that path. Now that doesn't mean that our ears are covered and we don't hear. I go to conservative talk show programs. I go to more liberal talk show programs. I listen to some vegan folk talk about what they believe, and I listen to
Mm,
the other extreme, the carnivore, and
yeah.
then I just try to keep my mind open.
Mhm.
But at the end of the day, I feel good about what we're recommending. I feel good about because I see the benefits, and I mean, it just blows my mind how so many people um, take this journey and they're just healing, and they weren't healing before we had this
Mm,
conversation. So I
yeah.
just, I'll never be feel guilty about that. So,
Yeah.
but I just wanted to get your perspective because I know it's something that will enter our minds, and even when
Yeah.
I for right before Christmas. Now I don't get sick often. So when I get sick, people, in fact, I have a text from a team member, and shout out to her. Her name is Chandra. She's uh, uh, a LPN nurse, and she sent a message the day that I called off. She said, "I've never seen you call off since you've been working ever," and I don't.
Yeah.
So she was like so shocked by that. Now, of course, there are people in my family who said, "Oh, you got sick because you're a carnivore."
Ah, of
So,
course.
I
Yeah.
never get sick. I get sick once because I'm a human being, and then people say that's because you're a carnivore. It's just, it's the craziness of, did you not count the parts that I did get sick? It's like,
Yeah.
do I
There
get
was
credit for that? So
there was a
that's what
news
people do.
article. There was a news
Yeah.
article that just came out saying that Anthony showed me, and he just laughed at it. But it honestly said that they're now thinking that meat is what people who eat meat have higher chance of catching COVID.
Oh, please.
And yeah, and
Yeah.
he was just like, "What the heck? This is ridiculous." Absolutely
I'll
ridiculous.
look that
I
up. That's just
honestly,
so
I
ridiculous.
I have not been sick. Like I used to feel sick. I used to catch the cold all the time.
Yeah.
Now I
All the
just
time.
never do. Everyone else
That's right.
around me gets sick, and I'm
I
just like,
know.
I'm fine. I never get
Yeah.
sick.
I just, that's been my experience. And again, that's in the context for me of, I will see 30 people in a day and maybe 20% of them are sick. So I'm just constantly exposed to
Yeah,
germs. So if I never get sick, that would be a miracle. But 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 if I don't get sick that often, that's all on the verge of a miracle. So I do believe
yeah,
the dietary pattern protects us. And I think that when they write articles like this, and again, in what context? Like, are we talking about what we're doing, or are we talking about the guy that eats a lot of meat, but he's doing that at Burger King, at the restaurant? You know what I mean? So it's like, what do
exactly,
they really mean?
exactly. Yeah,
Yes, I would
yeah.
love to
What
see what
study
was
is
put
that?
out.
Yeah,
Yeah, because I
yeah,
doubt that it's really reflective of a clean diet like we have. So,
yeah.
any advice that you would give a couple? I know you guys are pretty aligned, but if you met a couple, one's low carb or even eating plant based, another's ketovore or carnivore, how are they going to make that work? Any advice you would give a couple that's kind of in the same household but eating differently?
I mean, it's if you want to make it work, you'll make it work. I think it comes down to that. And I think you've just got to be open. You've got to be understanding that
Hmm.
everyone feels like their way is the right way because it feels good to them.
Hmm.
Um, pushing your way onto someone else will only drive them further away and they'll go in the
Hmm.
opposite direction. So I think just working together, like Anthony's super, like he's really good with me. If in the beginning I used to slip up a lot and have different things, like,
Hmm.
it is what it is. And, you shouldn't give each other a hard time or argue about it or anything like that.
That's right.
It's just like religion as well. Like if you're with someone who goes to one church and then
Hmm.
the other partner goes to a different church, you believe in different things, and
That's right.
and so I think you just got to be open to that. And if you really love someone, you love them for them and not for what they're actually putting into their mouth or what they're eating and drinking and things like that. I mean, it definitely is it kind of can be a little disappointing when you're not on the same page, but
Hmm.
you just got to be open to it and kindly try and explain your way and the benefits that you've seen from doing things your way. And if
That's
they
right.
want to try it, then they can give it a
That's
try.
right.
But I think just being open about it and not being forceful or pushy or making the other person feel bad, I think
Yeah,
that's the right
I
thing to
I
do.
agree. And that's why my E in my ROPE acronym talks about life experiences, because life experiences are the reason why you have the beliefs you have. So if you, unless somebody was raised in your house, they're going to probably have some slightly different beliefs and experiences.
Yeah.
So why would we penalize them for that? In fact, I find that couples are different. Like, you guys started off very different in a way, and
Mm-hmm.
yet you're making it work. And those
Yeah.
differences enrich our lives. And you would have never probably gone down this carnivore rabbit hole if it was not for meeting with somebody that was completely different and on that whole page. So I
Yeah.
think if we embrace our differences and
Mm-hmm.
not try to make people or indoctrinate people into what we believe. You can have literally an atheist living with a Christian.
Yeah.
You can make that work,
Yeah.
and you just have to honor their life experiences, because that's what has served them and made them who they are. and hopefully they'll have life experiences that show them and teach them how to honor the person that I'm with. Because, like I said, you're not going to find your twin in the world because it just doesn't work that way. So, one more
Exactly.
little piece of advice, if you could offer it. I have
Yeah.
a brother who's older than me by a couple of years. He's a big guy, and I'm also not pushy, so I don't go to my family's reunions and gatherings and have a lecture about low carb, keto, or carnivore. I
Mhm.
just they know what I do, and I help those who want it. But my brother kind of decided, I think I'm going to try this carnivore thing this year. So if you had a brother who was thinking about doing carnivore, any advice you would give me that I can give him as
Yeah.
he starts his journey?
Yeah, the one thing that I'd probably do is like forward through some like awesome carnivore cooking videos and just,
Yeah,
make it a little bit fun and be like, "Hey, like look at this recipe. This is awesome."
right. Make it fun.
Yeah, or that kind of thing. I mean, if you don't see him very much, it might be a little hard, but even just like,
Hmm.
you know, having him over and like maybe making stuff together.
Yeah.
Um, but just keeping in touch, seeing how he's going, like making sure that, he's got someone to talk to about it and feels like he's, got some sort of support there.
Hmm.
But yeah,
I like that.
I think that's probably what I'd say to do. That I'd do that for my brother.
Hmm.
And yeah, but the main thing I reckon I'd just be sending them heaps of awesome carnivore cooking videos.
Yeah. That's that's
Like
that's
try
what we'll
this
do.
recipe. Yeah.
Yeah, make it happen. I had the
Yeah.
ketogenic woman on previously, not long ago, and in fact, I think I'm going to be on her channel, the ketogenic woman Anita, and she's really carnivore. She just didn't change the name. And she's an accountant. She's going to retire and spend more time sharing on YouTube. But I like that. I like doing it together. My brother is local. So he's about 30 minutes away. So we could definitely hang out. And I like this idea of coaching. I think, when people are ready to heal and you can coach them. And as I think about your comments and I think about this, and I'm really hopeful that he'll do it. I love him either way. But I think this may bring us closer because we're kind of being forced to connect more,
Yeah.
and I'm probably going to see a deeper side of him, and so I'm really looking forward to that. So I just wanted to get your advice.
Yeah,
Uh,
just letting
is
him know
your
if he has any improvements and stuff like that. Just say like I'm really proud of you
Yeah,
of
I
your
like
your
that.
progress. That's
Yeah,
awesome. Just be super happy.
that's right.
Yeah,
Celebrate the wins. I like
yeah,
that. So that's excellent. So
yeah,
this has been fun. I do want to ask you how you plan to protect your nest. And as you know, the nest is for nutrition. The E is for exercise. Then we have less stress, more sleep, protecting our thoughts, recovering from trauma, and then the rope. And we talked about relationships a lot today,
yeah.
making sure we have healthy collaborative relationships, avoiding organisms and pollutants. And the pollutants can be like the alcohol, right?
Mm-hmm.
And our E in our rope is about our emotions, and we talked about life experiences as well. So when you think about your next 12 months, any parts of that you want to give extra attention over the next 12 months?
I think for me, exercise is the biggest one that I want to put more attention towards this year.
Hmm.
Um, I've everything else I'm pretty good with. But exercise, I think being so busy and not really,
Yeah.
my gym just closed. I got changed over to something else, so we didn't have gym for like quite a few months, and we've
Wow.
only just started getting back into it now. But it's a 24-hour one, so we can go at any time. Like we've been going really late, well, sometimes
Yeah.
like 10, 11 p.m. at night.
Mhm.
But just really prioritizing that. I think that's the biggest thing for me. And but otherwise, I'm going to church, like mentally, like everything's really good. Like I have my have God and things like that. I have prayer. If I need anything else, it all sort of just falls into place. So yeah, I think the biggest thing for me is exercise.
I love that. And my
Yeah.
wife is very spiritual as well. And she's from the South in the United States, and there's a lot of spiritual strength in that part of the country, the foundation of many people's lives. So I love that. So we're gonna definitely share links to how we can connect with you. So what would you
Yeah.
say to the audience about the best ways to do that?
The best way would probably be, I mean, I've got Instagram. Um, I can't remember the name of it. I think it's _L.Marie_S. Um, and then I have YouTube as well. I just do like hair videos. I have some carnivore cooking stuff. We have a carnivore
Hmm.
cooking page on YouTube, and we also have um, the Kitchen Carnivore on Instagram. We just
Hmm.
post up like a whole heap of cool videos and meals that people can do if they're looking for something different. And then what else do I have? Oh, my hair page, Pure Ella Hair. I'm on Instagram. My website www.pureellahair.com. And yeah, that's probably the best place to find me.
Those are the ways. I'll definitely link all of those. And
Yeah,
I really appreciate you and, just being willing to spend some of that busy time with me and my audience. Really enjoyed getting to know you a little bit
yeah,
in person, but even more so in this setting where we can kind of share our getting to know each other with others.
yeah.
So
It was
it's
really,
been
really lovely
fun.
talking to you. It has been really, really
Absolutely.
nice. I've enjoyed it.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And I just love this community and thank you and good luck with the business. We'll be talking more in the future, but
Yeah,
just wanted to just share you with my audience as we kind of get to know you and Anthony through you
yeah,
on this episode of the podcast. So thank you so much for being here today.
yeah. You're very welcome. Thank you as well.
All right, guys. So today we had a chance to get to know Elle Marie a little bit better, and it was kind of fun to hear her perspective, on how she got to know Anthony and just how they kind of work together to, achieve the goals they have. And being so busy, it's very challenging, but it's nice to know that they can work. And so, no matter how busy you are, no matter how different you are with your partner, there's a way to do this. And the goal is to just, well, what's the vision for this relationship? What's the vision for the future? And can we work collaboratively to change and work together to do that? So as we start the new year, I'm hoping that you're motivated for change. And if you are, work collaboratively with your partner so that you guys as a team will find the best path for both of you to achieve metabolic health. So, for those who continue to support this channel, I appreciate you. Make sure you comment, share your vision for your year, share what you plan to do, and that way you may inspire somebody else as well. So, with that, we'll wrap up this episode of the Protecting Your Nest podcast. And until the next episode, continue to be safe, be well, and continue to protect your nest.